We're live. Hello. Thank you guys for joining us here. We're frozen. Something's going on here.
Seems like the internet is against us.
The internet is against us, but I think we're back. All right. Hello. We're having some YouTube issues, but if you are watching us, hi. Welcome to Total Spotfest. We know what we're doing. We are a professional wrestling podcast. We can get this going here. I'm JJ. That's Jamie.
Austin at this point,
right? I don't know. I hope you can see us. We don't know if chat's working or not. Somebody type something, say hello. YouTube's doing some stuff to us. If you're watching us on the replay, you're listening to us. These are the joys that happen when you go live. Sometimes, things, kind of work. So we're going to roll with it anyway. We want to thank you guys for joining us. And Austin, Jamie, how the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, but as tends to happen to people in the holiday season, I feel like I gained about 10 pounds recently. So feel a little bit heavier these days, but looking a little bit shinier as well. For those of you that might not see this because the internet is stealing my spotlight, I have finally received the official Pay-Per-View Picks Championship title. And it will not be leaving my possession for at least 2 weeks. We'll see how the Rumble goes.
10 days.
Am I gonna be a Roman Reigns champion, hold this thing forever? Maybe. Am I gonna be more of a Sasha Banks and drop it the next night? Stay tuned to find out.
I will say this: the strap looks good on your shoulder, Austin.
You're not the first title I've had in some time.
FWO. I know you're not. You're against. He's pulling a sting on you guys. So
you sure about that? You sure about that?
Pretty sure about that.
Try to do something.
Once again, we apologize for any technical issues going on YouTube. If chat's not working, we definitely don't see anything.
It's not us.
So I do apologize. We're going to keep going, though. You definitely can join the conversation. Hit us up on Twitter at Total Spotfest. Leave a comment down below if you can. Maybe the chat will start working. I don't know. But we got quite a lot to get to here. So we're gonna warm everybody's souls. Man, it got above 30 today. And I swear, I felt like going outside in shorts almost.
I did go outside in shorts today. After the negative 20 wind chill of the last few days, it was nice.
Yeah, I saw a crazy stat, Jamie. It said that in Kansas City, it was negative 10 or below wind chill for 80 straight hours.
It's cold as a witch's titty.
That's pretty damn cold.
Now, the worst part about the whole cold snap was watching the Steelers-Bills game Monday afternoon, seeing a graphic pop up saying it's 15 degrees and feels like -4 here, and me bringing up my weather app for Wichita, and it was like -3 feels like -15 here. It was colder in Wichita than it was in Buffalo in mid-January.
Where they got 2 feet of snow. They got 2 feet of snow.
Still somehow colder here.
Yeah. Go figure. I had a talk today. Jamie knows what I'm talking about. He'll find this hilarious. I had a talk today with a coworker who lives in Memphis, and he was really complaining about the cold. And stop. Stop. You don't get to complain. You guys get it once every 6 years. And yeah, I know your city's not equipped to it. You don't own a shovel, but still, stop. Well, what'll warm your soul better than a little wrestling? Denver was actually not as cold as Wichita and Kansas City, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was all right Friday night for Lucha Libre and laughs. Because the thing with Triple L is that the green room / locker room is across a small parking lot from the back door of the theater. And it's about 15, 20 feet. It's not a far walk, but when it
Now,
is super cold and snowy outside and you're walking across that in trunks, it's not a good time. But fortunately, it wasn't that bad. So no one turned into a popsicle trying to go out to the ring. But inside the theater, it was plenty warm and people were bumping all over the place. Jamie, I did just see you pop up in the chat, so maybe systems are fully operational again.
I did it from my phone onto here, so I'm hoping maybe it's us who can't chat.
We can't chat in our own live stream. Fantastic. So Triple L was this past Saturday. Friday. I'm sorry. They're usually Saturdays, the rare Friday show, right?
Yeah, so Triple L is normally Fridays. The one coming up in March is a Saturday, so it's the other way around.
Days are hard, man. Yeah. My week, every week that Jamie and I can attest to this, every week that we've worked, in the past like 3 months has felt like, I don't know, 2.5 months. So I have no concept of time anymore. Okay.
See, I'm the opposite. This is the first like full 5-day work week I'll have since about the holiday season. Because you get a bunch of random Mondays off for holidays, and then I took a day off a week because I had the PTO. So I finally feel like I'm on a normal work schedule, and now I'm tired. I've had too much time off.
So Triple L though was this past Friday. Sold out show. Lots of really good stuff going on there. I know there was the esteemed champion. Heidi Howitzer defended her strap. We had Lindsay Dorado versus Dak Draper. One of Jamie's bucket list guys, and somebody that was very high up on my list as well. Jeff Cobb was there in live and living color. Solid show all around once again.
Yeah, it was great. And Triple L is always great. That's why they've sold out so many shows in a row, because people know it's going to be a good time. Triple L is the only promotion I have ever seen that can advertise a surprise guest and it will sell out because people know whoever that they deliver will be 100% worth it. But yeah, Friday night was another great Triple L show. Royce Isaacs and Jeff Cobb was, if you are into New Japan strong style wrestling or just large meaty men tossing each other around, that was an absolute banger. And Dak Draper, good old Sammy Six Guns taking on Lindsay Dorado. It's always fun to see a mountain of a man wrestle a lucha, and they certainly delivered on that front.
It's awesome, dude. Jeff Cobb is somebody I've been dying to see in person. We got to see him at AEW Dynamite once. He was there with
he was there when because the United Empire, the whole Undisputed Kingdom and United Empire, for some reason that just fucks with my brain. I don't know why. But yeah, when they kind of made their debut, and coincidentally when sorry, the chat's really fucking with me. I apologize, guys.
I'm right there with you. It's like I posted something as slow as a poster for
No, we were there when Ospreay made his AEW TV debut as well. But yeah, we saw him wrestle on the main show and on did he wrestle on the main show and on Rampage or just Ramp? But it was the same.
Just Rampage.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's with Great O'Khan. You remember in Khan it was terrible. He was terrible. Their choke slammy thing was not there. It's okay, but he's good. I like him.
Yeah, if you get an opportunity to see Jeff Cobb wrestle in person, by all means, go do that. It's well worth the ticket. That's one of those must-see kind of guys. Like, a human being that large shouldn't be able to move like that, but he does.
And his damn Eye of the Storm finisher, that's sick.
For the Islands?
The Storm of the Islands. Yeah. It was just gorgeous. Like I love the twist into it. Like it's just
Yeah,
some
and
heartstrings.
his ability to just pop up to his feet, then hit a standing moonsault out of anywhere is
It's like-
ridiculous.
It's like old ROH TNA Samoa Joe.
Yeah, very much.
Well,
But
next
dare I
Triple
say
L
faster.
show is coming up in March. There's a lot coming up in March, and definitely go see Austin Reddick if you want to see him live. You have several chances. Triple L is one of those. Unfortunately, Jamie and I, our schedules are not going to allow us to make it that far out, but we are making do because we're basically going to every other wrestling show we can in March, right? So we are going to be going. If anybody's interested, anybody's out there on the 1st of March in the greater St. Louis area. We're going to GCW, goddammit. It's going to be fantastic. It's been way too long, Jamie, since we've been to a GCW show.
Yeah, the last one we went to was in Chicago. When
Yeah, way too long.
I weighed like 70 pounds lighter, but
Is
Well,
that
you'll weigh the
55
same.
pounds.
You'll weigh the
55
same when we
pounds
go.
lighter.
Actually, that's 2 months. Maybe not that much, but still close. No, it's going to be fantastic. 1st of March, GCW show. I don't think they've announced any matches for it. I don't care. You're gonna see all the hits. You'll see Mance. You'll see probably see SDL. Bussy, I'm sure, is going to be there in some sorts. You know,
Maybe even Thrusty. They're teasing the reformation of Thrusty.
could be Thrusty. There could be a Cowboy Ussy as well. That's been rumored out there with Manders.
Lots of Ussies.
Lots of Ussies going on.
which GCW show coming up are they doing Cardona and Nemeth at? Because I saw
that's
that got announced.
That's,
but I don't know what it was.
That
LA.
is LA.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
LA show.
Gotcha. That
Oof.
that seems like a real fun indie match.
Oh my god. Well, this is a great thing about GC. This is why I love GCW so much, because everybody's like, there's the old assumption that it's just like ICW, like deathmatch bullshit, right? It's not. They have some death matches involved. That's a part of their identity. But they and if you ever hear Lauderdale talk, you know, his whole thing is collection of all types of wrestling. Deathmatch, technical, lucha, all sorts of, you know, everything. He wants to have all sorts of stuff, women's matches, intergender, you know. He wants to give you the best of every variant, and that's what you get at a GCW show. So, well worth your time if anybody's going to have a chance. Our good friends at Fountain City Pro going to launch their first show on the 8th of March. Lots of people have been announced for it. They only have one match right now. The main event is Buns of Steel. Well, we could definitely do polls, Jamie. Thank you for that.
Hey, man, I'm trying to get the conversation going here.
I hear you. Well, so the main event's going to be Buns of Steel's Fowler versus Camaro Jackson. They've announced Heidi Howitzer's going to be there. I have a sneaking suspicion that one of the members of this dais might be there as well. We don't know for sure. There's been no announcement on that. But
Hey,
Seems
before
likely.
you get further, yes, I will be there.
Well, thank you for breaking the tension there, Jamie. I appreciate that.
Hey, you know,
Gary J, I know, has been announced. They recently announced Stormy Renee, and I can't remember who her tag team partner is, but
Logan Knight.
Logan
Logan Knight out of Oklahoma City.
Thank you. This guy I'm familiar with, not super familiar, but familiar.
we saw him at HCW.
Yes. I couldn't remember the name. Like I said, I just saw briefly today that announcement.
He was the one I was like, dude, that guy can go. I got all excited about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's,
Well, they're
he's
a
solid.
tag team, so we'll see what that entails. Already 2 more women than another local promotion puts on in a single show.
What?
Not naming names. I'm not saying
But
names.
by process of elimination, you could probably figure it out.
It's not hard to figure out. Very good. More details coming. As I said, that's still a little ways away. Tickets are actually available now. You can go to Fountain City Pro. You can follow them on. We have a link down below in our description box. Good friends of ours putting on the promotion. It's in the same spirit as NWL, and Journey Pro, trying to bring that sort of vibe in a wrestling promotion. Of course, it's going to be different. It's not Journey Pro. We're not trying to say it's going to be Journey Pro, but trying to bring that same sort of vibe into a good promotion here in Kansas City. It is their first show. So, there's gonna be some fun hiccups. I'd love to get a little behind the scenes if we can on it, but it's gonna be a great time. It's down in Olathe, Kansas. For those of you local here, definitely get some tickets. Go check them out. It's a great time to spend a Friday evening. That's where we'll be for sure. So, more details on that to come.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, something that's not happening in March is the Royal Rumble. And I know that Austin has been learning us up a little bit because there's a lot of knowledge to be gained in 35-ish years of a signature event. Jamie, do you think you could use a little bit more knowledge?
I could always use just a little dabble, maybe a little nook, something that people just, keep. Like a stash of knowledge.
You're in luck. I just so happen to have a stash of knowledge on deck for you.
Whoop, whoop.
Yes, there have been about 35-ish Royal Rumbles, and I am well over halfway through all of them. Got through the 2007 Royal Rumble today, which if we're taking 1992 out of it, which is widely regarded as the greatest Rumble of all time, 2007 is probably the runner-up. That's the one where you get HBK, Taker, Orton, and Edge at the end.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal Rumble.
Second run HBK.
Yes, second run HBK, which is, I would say, probably the best in-ring version of HBK. Character-wise, obviously, I think that 93 run was just something else.
Oh yeah.
But second run HBK, this might be a little bit of a hot take among the wrestling community, but for me, second run HBK puts HBK over Bret Hart.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah,
I think he not only found Jesus during that time away, but he found this thing called a soul.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when people compare Shawn and Bret, they only think like through when Shawn retired the first time and Bret kind of wrapped up, and forget about the better part of a decade when Shawn came back and was having the best matches in the company. But yeah, this was like 2007-ish was peak second run HBK as well. But yeah, if you haven't seen it in a while, definitely go watch the 2007 Rumble. Along the way there, you got to pass through the 2006 Rumble, which is Rey Mysterio entering second, not first. Triple H enters first. Mysterio comes in second, goes the whole way. I had completely forgotten that they buried the Rumble in the middle of the show that year. You have the Rumble, and then you have Edge and John Cena, and then you have Kurt Angle and Mark Henry in the main event. For some reason, I had completely forgot that they give Ray the big emotional win for Eddie, but then follow it up with a bunch of other stuff. Although, when it comes to main event matches that should not have come after the Rumble, there is none worse than Triple H versus Randy Orton. I believe was 2005. It is somehow worse than the WrestleMania main event that went after Shawn Michaels and Taker that no one gave a shit about. This is the most absolute slog of a wrestling match I have ever watched. It's about 12 minutes of Triple H working Orton's leg, and then about another 8 minutes of Orton pretending he has a concussion until Triple H just kind of pedigrees him and pins him. An absolute dud of a way to close out the show. But that aside, those mid-2000s Royal Rumbles are all pretty solid and worth watching back if you have the time. But as much as I love chatting about old wrestling, this week is kind of special because we have some modern wrestling to get into that we haven't talked about in some time. So I think we're going to close the stash a little bit early because once again TNA had a pay-per-view last weekend.
They most definitely did. So it was the rebirth, the relaunch of total nonstop action. The biggest gate they've had in, they said a decade. It was like eight and a half years. But this past Saturday, Hard to Kill pay-per-view. I was not able to watch it live, unfortunately, but I did watch the replay later on that night. I avoided the internet like it was the plague. Like, no spoilers. I don't want any spoilers. Right? Some of the stuff I could figure out.
That was difficult.
It was tough because there was a couple of really good things there. Here's a spoiler for you, for those of you who haven't watched it. It was freaking excellent. Very good. I have long sung the praises that Impact doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's not AEW. It's not WWE. It's not trying to be on, I mean, they like to be, sure, right? Everyone wants to be that big, but it's not trying to be. It knows who it is, and they do a damn good job of putting out there what they are. I loved it. Now, I know, Austin, you saw it, okay?
I did. I watched the replay on Sunday. I was not able to watch it live because I was wrestling in front of a slightly smaller crowd. Slightly, yes, by several orders of magnitude. Yeah, so I enjoyed the pay-per-view. It seemed like halfway through the show, it kicked into a second gear. Like, you started with some interesting stuff for the first half, and then you got all your really good matches in the back half. Kushida, Sabin, and Vikingo was
chef's kiss.
All you could want out of a Spotfest.
And I loved it.
I feel like TNA is the place to have those Spotfests. I mean, AEW as well, but it fit in the TNA style of wrestling that some that have not watched TNA in several years. It reminded me of when I did used to watch TNA as well.
It was really core to their ethos, because when they first were getting on there, that's how they separated themselves from WWE at the time. It was a bunch of indie flippy spinny shit guys and lucha guys, right? They had an early partnership with AAA. They're the first ones to have a partnership with AAA in modern times, right? Modern times, I'm talking like post WCW, right? Because WWE, after they won the Monday Night Wars, the Ruthless Aggression era, is pretty much just on lockdown, PG era. Fuck everybody. This is the world of wrestling. TNA was the first, American mainstream bump to that, and they dug into that stuff. So it's always been part of who they are. That's why they did the six-sided ring. I know you as a wrestler have thoughts about that. But, the Ultimate X and things like that. So, yeah, the triple threat for the X Division title, right up my alley. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, that was just a phenomenal match. And then Josh Alexander and Hammerstone. Completely different style, but an awesome match as well.
It's a match you should watch, Jamie. That's you should watch that match.
Yeah. I saw some highlights of it. It's like that match was right in my alley.
Oh yeah. Now, while the show top to bottom was a very enjoyable couple hours of pro wrestling, I still feel like nothing really grabbed me to make me want to watch this regularly.
Okay.
It did interest me in watching future pay-per-views, and if I happen to see something on Twitter, something looks good, but they didn't buy me into watching their weekly show, which I still might just to see it. But that's what I thought. That's the one thing I felt was missing from that entire show. It was a good night of pro wrestling, but it didn't seem like they were making a lot of their roster look like stars if you didn't already know who they were from just being a TNA fan. And outside of the big reveal at the end of the night, there wasn't a lot that really hooked you into continuing to watch forward, which I feel like is a bit of a missed opportunity on their end.
I get where you're coming from. I think that it's a fine balancing act because they didn't have that. Now in the past they've had, big reveals, big stuff like that to really try and get that hook in. This felt a lot more like we need to solidify our audience, right? They opened with an X Division match, an Ultimate X match, which, if you're not familiar with the concept, is fantastic. There's a big over the ring. There's 4 trusses, and there's like 2 ropes stringed across in an X fashion, and there's an actual X hanging from there. The X, you got to climb across the rope, grab the X, land. If you do, you get a title shot, right? That's the whole thing. Women's X.
Hold on. Can I ask a question? Just
yes.
As an outsider, would that technically be an X on a pole match?
No, it's not on a pole. It's on cables.
It's on cables.
The cables are on the pole.
But the poles are holding it up.
Well, there's trusses. They're not poles. They're trusses.
But they're kind of poles.
But it is not physically on the pole.
It's not on the pole.
You got to be physically on the pole to be an on the pole match.
That's not the pole match. Is a ladder match a pole match?
No, because it's dangling.
Is it dangling from a pole?
From a pole of some sort.
There's got to be a pole up there somewhere.
There's no transitive property of the pole. It's either on the pole or it's not.
It's a take on the ladder match, not a something on the pole. Mr.
But there's
Troll.
no ladder. There's no ladder. So therefore, ergo,
the trussing is kind of like a ladder.
The truss is a ladder. You have to climb up the truss, and then you have to climb across the rope to get to the X.
I feel like trussing is more ladder than pole, even though it's a lot of
1,000% more ladder than pole.
It's more pole than ladder.
Go back under the bridge, Troll. I'm
just saying your favorite match is a variation of your hated match.
It is definitely not a variation. It's a variation of a ladder match more than anything.
There's no ladder to be had.
There's pole to be had either.
It forms a ladder.
Feast or Fired is more of a variation of the on the pole match.
I 100% agree with that.
This is not. So anyway, they had Zaya Brookside and I can't remember the other lady there, but 2 debuting former NXT variant talent. Both have signed with TNA as well. A lot of fun. Giselle Shaw won it. They had a surprise. It wasn't announced ahead on the card, but they had the women's knockout tag team match with a returning gimmick, at least. So Rosemary and Jessica coming back, Havoc, I should say, coming in as Decay again, right? So they got rid of the Courtney Rush and Jessica gimmick to the actual Decay gimmick. There was a lot of fan service in the front half. You had Rhino coming back, Jake Something coming back, right? They were in a match. But the back half is where the good was. That triple threat match.
What's his name?
Oh, you want me to say his name?
What's his name?
Anything. Something like that.
Okay. Just making sure. I got that.
Yeah. Side note, we saw Jake Something battle Jeremy Wyatt in an almost hour-long match after we saw the Gary J. Hoodie Hallett fake retirement match, which was by far the wrong booking because they had all the emotion in the Hoodie Hallett retirement and then the swerve angle at the end of it. And there's another match here. It's going to go for an hour. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and Jake kept trying to get the crowd, but it just got Jamie's nerves. He kept going, "What's my name?" And he just goes, "I don't care."
Yeah,
great wrestling, but yeah, bad booking.
Excellent. Bad.
No, but anyway, so you had that. So, but you had Josh Alexander, you had the Hammerstone, women's knockout, the title match Trinity, who is, of course, very obviously has been very well wide reported going back to WWE. She did drop it to Jordan Grace, very well deserving. There was an appearance at ringside by one Miss Ashby Elegance, who they had to let everybody know is formerly Dana Brooke.
Can we just call that gimmick stealing from Tony Storm?
It depends.
Okay.
You gotta
right now, I want to call it full gimmick stealing, but it's borderline.
It's close for sure. It's close for sure. It depends what direction she goes with it. And if it is like a straight up movie star thing, or if it is they try to do something else. So like it has a temporary pass, but it could be revoked at any minute. Because it did look a lot very Tony Stormish. But either way, good for Dana Brooke. I think I mentioned that we were talking about the releases a while back. I thought Dana Brooke in the TNA would be great because people started to really get behind Dana Brooke at the end of her run. And it's a good spot for her. So
and I was hard bent, and Jamie knows this. I was hard bent that I thought she was going to go outside of wrestling. I thought she was going to go back to fitness.
Yeah, same.
But I mean, it's also something where the TNA schedule, you are not really on the road much. It's not a huge time commitment, so it probably gets her a nice payday while also having plenty of time to do other shit. She's not going to go do a tour of the Indies.
No, but it does give her. Yeah, you're right. That is one of the benefits to TNA. I think definitely that some of these stars will definitely really enjoy. Your main event was the Alex Shelley versus Moose title match. Very good match, very enjoyable. Moose did get the victory, won the belt. And then was the other big announcement. Nick Nemeth is officially in TNA. He's also in New Japan. But
all that one too.
I loved his New Japan one way better, just to be honest with you.
I know you did. But again, to Austin's point, that's the good thing about TNA. He can do them both. I mean, shit, Ospreay was there the next night. I think Ospreay and Okada were both there the next night.
Yep.
I think Ospreay fought Okada.
I didn't see what happened the next night, but that sounds entirely possible.
Well, it's gonna be on TV tomorrow. So,
but that wasn't the biggest free agent or biggest showing ups that happened this past weekend. Oh no. Jungle Boy Jack Perry showed up at New Japan strong. And ripped up his AEW contract. So he's officially New Japan.
Ripped up his contract.
I was waiting for him to show back up in AEW, but I think this is the absolute best thing for all parties involved.
Agreed.
Jungle Boy does have a decent amount of star power that should help New Japan strong in America. He's coming from a bigger platform, and people enjoy, like, he got to AEW in the first place for a reason. Like, people like Jungle Boy. If you put him back on AEW TV, where does he really fit in without just kind of being an afterthought? And if he goes New Japan strong and ends up going on this crazy indie run where he's working with like this top elite talent and then comes back to AEW, he's going to be super over or super hated. And either way, it's going to be great. I love the scapegoat armband. I like the tearing up the contract, even though like clearly that's not how contracts work. But it's pro wrestling. So like those are the kind of silly things you can buy into in pro wrestling.
Well,
but yeah.
And I think that's part of the partnership that does give them the flexibility to do stuff like this. Like, for example, Megan Bain, she's still on contract with AEW.
I heard she's heading back soon. She was finishing up a
They
Stardom.
literally like she did some darks, she did a few things, this and that, and they literally said, "We're going to send you over to Japan. You're going to wrestle in Stardom or New Japan's women's stuff." So so that's the good thing that they have. It gives him the ability to. And it benefits both. It helps alleviate some of the pressure on the numbers of their roster. Like you said, where do you put Jungle Boy, right? You can't get a storyline with everything else you got going on right now with Jungle Boy 2. I mean, come on. But to Jamie's point, this is a great opportunity for Jungle Boy to really establish that character. So,
yeah, I wish they would send Sky Blue over to Japan as well, and Anna Jay.
Anna Jay.
We'll talk about it, but like seriously, you've got some of this.
Right now.
You've got some of these younger women that you signed with little experience that you want to invest in. Send them to work with the Joshis for a year, and they'll come back a million times better. Because Joshis are the technically best, like in-ring work best of like all pro wrestlers. It is mind blowing how good they are and how much better they would get by going over there and working with the Joshis for a year.
Regardless, I was an old TNA stan. I really enjoyed this episode. I think, Austin, you're definitely right. I think that if nothing else, pay-per-views are definitely worth it for TNA for sure, right?
Yeah. It was a good, enjoyable night of wrestling.
I'm gonna try and catch as much as I can. I did sign up for their like YouTube premium thing. It's like $1 a month, right? And I can watch every Impact, which is what their weekly show originally was called, and is called again. I can watch Impact every week on YouTube. You know, I don't have to like because I don't have access on my TV program. So, but I'll catch as much as I can. It's good wrestling. That's a good thing. Good wrestling. They have lots of they have a good balance, right? So there's a bit of technical, lots of flippy spinny shit, lucha. Good. They have a really deep a lot of focus on women's wrestling as well, which I think is great for promotion because it's not. And don't take it as wrong, anybody's there, but it's not like the top tier of women's wrestling in the world, right? But it doesn't have to be. You're giving a lot of people that stage to be seen that they wouldn't get elsewhere. Jordan Grace, if you put her in WWE, she might get a 3-week push, right? And she's a 3-time champion, well-deservedly 3-time champion, right? So
really quick before we move on from TNA, while we're talking about the women's division as well, specifically during Ultimate X, but the entire night as well. On the one hand, I didn't see anyone in Ultimate X where I wanted them to win watching the show. So there's like some character work needs to be done.
Sure.
But as a whole, the entire TNA's women's division just moving around the ring and looking more natural and just looking better, the best of the major American women's promotions. Like I did not see a single time where someone looked a little out of place or looked a little jumbled or something. I was just blown away by how good, like technically sound their entire women's division is.
You know who are the two main women behind the scenes who helped direct a lot of this stuff?
Who's
Gail
that?
Gail Kim and Tracy Brooks.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes sense. But yeah, I really appreciated that. I didn't see anyone that they just kind of threw out there because they were young and kind of attractive and like, oh, they'll at least get over. Like, no,
right.
Everyone was technically solid in that entire division.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last time they did that, her name was Lacey Von Erich, and it did not work so good.
And it seems like they kind of figured it out with the signing ex-WWE names as well. They're going for the underappreciated ones, which that'll get people to watch. The people that wanted to see Dolph Ziggler succeed and never really got to see that in the E, they get to go see him be TNA champ more or less than likely here in a few months or so.
A few months, most definitely. Dana Brooke. And then you got Zaya Brookside, right? She never really broke through big, She had a good, decent run over in NXT UK when that was still a thing, But she's from a good wrestling family, and give her a shot.
Your dad again? Who's your dad? I can't.
Something Brookside.
Oh, Robbie Brookside?
Robbie Brookside.
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So here's a fun question. Does PCO count as an underappreciated WWE talent?
No.
Since he was there briefly as a pirate in the mid-90s?
No.
Oh, that's right. And then he ended up kissing his sister.
Well, he was no. That's a different pirate. That was Paul Burchill. That was in the 2000s.
Oh,
no, PCO was one half of the Quebecers, and then he came back in '95 as Jean-Pierre Lafitte, the pirate, and he stole Bret Hart's ring jacket. They had like a 3-week feud about it, and then he just disappeared.
No, I am not counting PCO as an underappreciated WWE talent. No.
He's old.
He is old, man. But he does the Frankenstein gimmick, though, which is,
that entrance was awesome.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, he doesn't move like he used to. They put him in a 6-man because of that, right? But it's still good fun, and there's good shots.
I almost completely forgot that Vladimir Kozlov was there for some reason.
I don't know why that was the thing. That's what you will get in TNA for sure. Just like, the fuck was that? Out of nowhere. So, I highly recommend. Definitely on pay-per-views. Check out TNA. So, you guys want to talk about AEW though?
Let's talk some AEW.
A little more current. All right. Well, we had Dynamite.
Yeah. And honestly, guys, there was a couple matches I did not know that I wanted to watch, and they may or may not have over-delivered. That's probably the best way I could put it.
Okay.
There was one match that under-delivered, but afterwards made it all better. At least in my humble, not so humble opinion.
Humble.
Yeah, I'm known to be humble. So, like, the very first match of the night, guys. Like, I did not know I wanted to watch this. I knew it was going to be a good match because you had two solid veterans going in there, right? But honestly, they blew the house down. Like, it was insane. I don't care. My match of the night.
Oh,
this
wow.
one was so damn good. Top to bottom.
Can we just give flowers to Dustin Rhodes? I feel like we forget
Absolutely.
how good of a talent this man. I mean,
Absolutely.
how good of a wrestling person this man is.
Jamie, I can't disagree with you, but I'm still confused by your statement that you weren't looking forward to this match when it was announced. Because what is there not to get excited about Christian and Dustin Rhodes in their 50s tearing it down to open up Dynamite? Like, anything, because even going back to last pay-per-view when Rhodes filled in with Swerve, it was phenomenal. Everything Christian's done has been phenomenal. This was the match I was most looking forward to. And as you said, it delivered, then over-delivered. This was phenomenal.
So my statement of I wasn't looking forward to it is because I already know, and we all know that wrestling's predetermined and all that good stuff, but it is more of a matter, I knew that there's no way in hell Dustin was going to win, and there's going to be some kind of high jinx that were going to happen. Then we got all of that. I mean, we also got Nick Wayne getting clearly killed by a amazing Canadian destroyer. But I was not looking forward to the inevitable, like the Agent Smith in me, I guess.
Like, that sell of that Canadian destroyer. First of all, can I take a side note here for a second, guys? Can we appreciate? Because I know that we were critical a little bit, worried, concerned, critical. We were concerned at the beginning of the Nick Wayne, what you're doing with Nick Wayne, right? But my God, are they doing the right stuff with him? The sell of that Canadian destroyer popped me so damn hard. And yes, to your point, Austin, let him be the understudy, get his ass beat for a year or two here, right? Get his chops. They're doing the right things. Kudos.
Yeah, and he already looks like a little bit more of an adult than he did when he debuted 6 months ago, or whatever it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really the biggest thing you're waiting on, is for him to just not look like a kid anymore.
Right.
Because like it's fun at the beginning. Like, oh yeah, he's super young, and like it's kind of cool. It's a novelty and all that, but it wears off pretty quick. And so stash him with Christian so he can just kind of grow in the business, learn from a vet, and just grow more as a human being until he inevitably turns face and beats up Christian is the best thing they ever could have booked for him. But hopefully it ain't coming for some time.
18 months. Give me 18 months and then make it happen.
I'll make you a man.
But so excellent match, top to bottom. I loved how he hit the spear, then he hit the unprettier. Yes, I'm going to call it an unprettier.
It's an unprettier.
That's what it is.
It's an unprettier.
This kill switch stuff was a TNA thing. It's an unprettier forever. So let's go chronologically, because yeah, there's some good stuff in here. So Swerve's. So what'd you guys think of Swerve's promo of I have eyes everywhere? My eyes are laser focused on this. My eyes, of course, are looking over at Hangman. And then, in addition, we'll just go ahead and hammer the Hanger one here too, of how Hanger's like, I don't even think about him at all. I just think about winning the title, like the opposite.
Again, you'll get my same answer every time you ask the same question, Jamie. AEW's Rock versus Stone Cold. I mean, perfect. Love it. Did you guys notice was that makeup around his eyes? He had like the double black eye look Swerve.
He's been doing that for a little while.
I like the subtleness of it, right? Kind of. I'm the heel. See, look at me. You know, I dig the
Yeah.
subtleness of it.
So Swerve's promo was a textbook pro wrestling heel promo.
Mhm.
It was perfect. The way he spent a good minute and a half singing Hangman's praises, saying if God himself came down and challenged someone to beat him, Hangman might be able to do it, and then following it up with, but I beat him twice, was just phenomenal. It was peak promo. I will say, while this does very much seem like AEW's version of Rock and Austin, I would also throw out, largely because Hanger is now rocking the stash, which I enjoy. I could also throw out, this is AEW's Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard. And if you watch enough old wrestling like I do, they had a very long blood feud over the NWA Television Championship. That was very similar to kind of what's going on with Hangman and Swerve. Aside from, no one got hung in that, or hanged, if we're speaking the proper English. But yeah, if you're enjoying what you're seeing of Swerve and Hanger, get on the Peacock machine and sometime go back through the mid to late 80s and catch some of the Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard feud.
I mean, we're talking like full, like Hangman right now. Full on stash. I mean, just beautiful stash. Stashness.
No one has rocked the power stash and long hair in pro wrestling in so long, in like a serious way where it wasn't just a silly part of their gimmick. It's glorious.
Yeah. It's special.
It makes Jamie weep every week.
I mean, I can't grow one to save my effing life. And just so everybody's aware, Battle for the Belts happened and no belts changed hands.
What? I watched a couple of those
surprising.
matches. I will say this: the Anna Jay Julia match better than I thought it was going to be. But again, yeah, it was just nobody. You have to change a belt sometime, or you gotta stop calling it Battle for the Belts.
I feel like Battle of the Belts is one of the few consistent misses AEW has had. Like they just get it wrong every time. It almost seems like TNT reaches out as like, hey, we need a third hour this Saturday. And they're like, fine, we'll throw some matches on after Collision. Instead of ever treating Battle of the Belts like something worth tuning into. I would love if that hour had 2 or 3 dope title matches that I could fire up Sunday morning when I'm not doing anything and catch while I'm watching coffee, but it's always tacked after Collision, and it's never better than Collision. And when it was tacked after Rampage, it wasn't even better than Rampage. And that's a very low bar.
I know.
You know why? Because it was never time for the main event.
I don't catch Rampage that often, but I do appreciate it. It reminds me of like late stage WCW Thunder, where it was just a weird, just whoever they had available, they throw them out there, and you really don't need to keep up with it because nothing important happens, but it's kind of fun to watch every once in a while.
I will say that because this week's Rampage includes matches of who's the other workhorseman besides JD Drake? Anthony
Henry.
Anthony Henry versus Penta. Okay.
Nice.
Yes. Chris Jericho had a promo next, and it was challenged by Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal making an appearance against Chris Jericho for some reason. I mean,
I'm excited to see Matt Sydal, but this promo was so weird and out of place. It's gotten to the point where even if you only give Jericho 90 seconds of TV, it still makes you cringe.
It's
like, this made no sense.
Obviously, they're doing some sort of continuation of the angle with the Don Callis family because Chris Jericho has to stay in front of the camera. I don't know.
Just take some time off, man. Go on a Fozzy tour and come back with something interesting to do.
I mean, you got your Jarrett Cruz next month. Take a couple months after that. Go home and be with your wife. See if she's going to join the next insurrection. I don't know. That was low. I'm sorry.
I'm a Jerichoholic for life, and I want to take him out to pasture. It's time.
It's time.
It's time, guys. You know what it's also time for?
It's time for the main. No, it's not time for the main.
No, it's time for some flippy, spinny shit and Orange Cassidy. So it was supposed to be the best friends going up against the Lucha Bros, but still Chuck and Ray are dealing with their injuries. So you got Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta going up against Penta and Commander. And we did have a couple Commander spots, where he took a good strong 30 seconds before he actually made the move.
Hey, you gotta make sure you don't get hurt on it. You gotta develop that. You gotta.
I know. Really quick though, just for anyone that might be watching or listening that has never watched actual lucha, that's just what they do in lucha. You could take a nap in the middle of setting up at a spot, and as long as you did enough flips afterwards, everyone would lose their shit. So it's one of those things that kind of carries over. It looks a little bit weird mixed with American style, but that's just lucha, man.
I think a lot of Americans got spoiled with Lucha Underground, and that was very heavily produced, guys. FYI,
and just with Rey Mysterio as well, because Rey was the greatest to ever adapt to the American style. And you watch Rey for so long, and you don't realize how different that is from true lucha.
And you get a lot of El Hijo de Vikingo and Rey Fenix, who aren't human. They're just literally not human. And you don't see like Psycho Clown, who does all the same stuff, but he does it at very lucha fashion, right? Someone watching El Hijo de Vikingo and then watches a Psycho Clown match and thinks they're going to be the exact same, you're going to be sorely mistaken, but you're also missing the beauty that is Psycho Clown. I mean, this is a man that almost had a riot of 50,000 people in the arena and probably the rest of the city the night that he almost had his mask ripped off at Triple. I mean, lucha is just a little bit of a difference in that,
It is.
Oh yeah, and I'm not discounting it. For me, the styles that I like, it is not my cup of tea. I respect it.
I hear you.
I still love my Lucha Bros, my Lucha brethren. I respect it. It's kind of like with me and the Beatles. I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but I respect what they did for music. Same thing. Dare I say, maybe how I feel about Lord of the Rings.
His wife's not here. You don't have to.
She's in the other room. She can't hear you.
I know. Just getting a quick beef between us right here.
Just trying to throw that little jab out there. I love this match. I thought this match was fun.
It was great. I loved it too. But
how about side note here? How about all the tag team going on tonight?
Yeah, it was. We'll get to the other one later as well, but. Yeah, it was nice to see some tag team wrestling featured on TV.
All over the place.
And Trent is piling up the wins. He's getting a lot of the pins and everything lately. So looks like Trent is going to get himself a little baby push for himself.
You're not going to win a title because that's kind of his thing.
I mean, him and Ruby Soho.
Hey, Ruby. She's going to win a title one day.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can wrangle her onto the show to make picks, and then we'll all sandbag them just so she can win the title sitting next to me and be a champion of some sort.
I would
a beautiful strap.
Okay,
I know you would. You're a mark above marks for that one.
Hey, such is life.
So Trent and Orange get the dub, but right after the Undisputed Kingdom, the UK, if you will, come out. So you had Matt Taven. I am Matt Taven. You had Bennett, and of course you had Mr. Roderick Strong. Roderick is not known for his mic skills, and it was full on in display tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I liked it, but he repeated himself because he forgot his lines. He 100% forgot what he was supposed to say, so he had to repeat himself.
But you're not wrong there, but he did do good in generating that heat.
Oh yeah.
So
Orange.
he doesn't need the mic skills because they got Adam Cole in the group, but he's doing a good job of maintaining that heat, and he's actually getting a decent amount of heat. It's not Don Callis level, right? You know,
No.
But he's maintaining a good amount of heat. I'm happy for that because I feel like Roderick gets knocked down and pushed a little too often because he's got shit mic skills.
Yeah, he's definitely doing like the best character work of his career right now.
100%.
I'm sure him and Orange Cassidy at Revolution will be phenomenal. Revolution in general seems like it's shaping up to be a pretty dope pay-per-view.
This match could steal the night, though, for real.
But the way they set this up was a bit weird to me, where Roddy's like, I want to shot that title, and Orange Cassidy's like, cool, let's do it right now. And he's like, no, we're going to do it at Revolution. Like, why wouldn't Orange Cassidy just be like, nah, we could do it now, or I'm just going home. It seemed, and especially because with Orange Cassidy's character and the way he doesn't really react to things, it seemed a bit weird. But either way, it set up a match that's going to be phenomenal, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, and if you remember too, Orange has done I know what you're getting at. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll have a match. He could have just done that, not necessarily right now, but he could have done it, I agree.
But they're actually starting to put some matches on the card, so that's good.
Still fine. Yeah, it's shaping up. Well, I guess we can do a rundown once we've gone through the rest of the night. But yeah, they're building early because we're still a good 6 weeks out.
That's about what they did for. Well, no, they had a pay-per-view every month for the past 4 months. So okay.
I think, that's probably it. It's been a while since we had this long to wait between pay-per-views, so we forgot.
Right. So we are now, gentlemen, at the tear-jerking part of this show.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like watching the video thing, that got me a little.
I cried.
Like, man. Like,
and then he pulls out his Jay's kids and his daughter who's walking. And I cried again.
Yeah. So, obviously today, ladies and gentlemen, is the 1-year anniversary of the passing of Jay Briscoe, and they had Mark come out and talk to everybody, and it was difficult. It was difficult for him. It was definitely difficult for everybody there. There's people bawling in the audience there, and then they did that video package. I'm like, you MFers, because that got the emotions going for me personally. And then the piece that got me the most, obviously, as a father of 4 daughters, I usually throw that out. Seems like every show.
Yeah.
But
just Jay dancing with his daughter.
Jay dancing with his daughters, and they're not going to have that anymore. And then at the very end, too, when talking about how the one daughter was never going to be able to walk again from that accident, and she comes walking out, actually walking, and it's like, Jesus, man, like it's Jesus, like that's that's what they say, God is king. Woo.
It was it was very good how they did it. They didn't dwell on it, they didn't put it on your face. They made it very respectful for all the Briscoes, and very well done.
Yeah, I like that they didn't try and like milk it or drag it out. It was the perfect length. It was a nice, great tribute to Jay. You got the family out there. You got the promo package. And they didn't dwell too long on something that is a lot heavier than you normally get in a pro wrestling show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild that it's already been a year.
It's crazy.
It feels like yesterday. Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, last year we did our year-end show, and just once again, a little over a year, and we were debating which of the Briscoes FTR matches was the match of the year, because I mean, it's crazy. That's life, man. Hug your loved ones, ladies and gentlemen. Unless you're a smarmy brother who decides to go by their full name.
Yeah. So obviously we got the spy versus spy versions of the Young Bucks here, and we have Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and I don't know how I felt about this.
Okay. Well, this whole thing, I mean, this was 485 digs at CM Punk. We know this, right? You know, they're taking things more serious, and this big hypothetical train with Renee. Heel Young Bucks, yes, please, thank you. That's always the better Young Bucks.
Yep.
You know. So they're going like super heel, and they're doing this whole thing. Did they go a little over the top? Well, that's kind of the Young Bucks in general, right? So I didn't mind this. It's a different look for them. It's a different little kind of twist on the gimmick, but they're going like they always do. They take something in real world, in reality, tweak it a little bit, amplify it. I mean, they are the epitome of your best gimmick is yourself amplified, right? That's who they are. So I like it. It's different.
Yeah, I'm not one that historically really gives much of a shit about the Bucks. Like, they're great. They just do nothing for me for the most part. But them as shitty heels is them at their best. I like that they gave us a reason why they want to fight Sting. Hey, we started AEW to be different, to be an alternative. You're not that. You're Sting. You're an icon of this business, and we're trying to be different. The digs and stuff like that, like, why wouldn't you expect that from the Bucks? It fits. It's in character.
100%.
Yeah.
And they've been such a polarizing team for so long, because even before AEW, if you are a reasonably well-watched fan of pro wrestling, you had an opinion about the Bucks one way or the other. You're either a Bucks fan or you're like, fuck those flippy guys. But they've always been polarizing, so why not just keep playing into that? I thought it was good. Like I said, I don't normally care too much for the Bucks, but I'm glad they're in that last match with Sting and Darby. They're gonna give Sting his best match in AEW.
Yeah, and they even put him over too.
Yeah.
Well, that they're good at that. They are good at putting over. That's the one thing you will say about the Bucks. Like, if you're talking about Sting's last match, I am a little sad, just from a personal level, that Sting's last wrestling match is going to be a tag team match. That's just
how it's got to be.
I understand. That's correct. You're correct on all those levels. I know why. Personally, though, I would like to see Sting versus one someone.
Okay, so let me ask you this: would you rather get Sting in this tag that will probably get a decent amount of time and be an actual fun match,
or
Sting in a singles match?
Don't die match.
That would either be a squash or like 8 minutes of him just lying on the ground taking heat.
I understand. You know the answer. I'd rather get more time with him, but I'm just saying, for someone, we grew up with Sting. We all grew up with Sting here, and that's just why it's selfish. But it's like I kind of want to see that one more, right? You want to see that one more, but.
So in that same vein, though, going back to Jamie's comments earlier about Dustin and Christian Cage and how there's no way in hell Dustin's gonna win. That is true, but another part of the reason why I was looking forward to the match is how many marquee TV matchups do you think we get with Dustin Rhodes going forward?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I want to see him go while he still can, because he ain't that close to that far from the end.
Right.
Of his in-ring career. Hopefully he retires healthy and all that kind of stuff.
He's already transitioned. He already does a ton. Yeah. Like, he's actually doing a lot of training and a lot of backstage stuff with the women's division in there.
Yeah.
So
Abaddon trains at a school.
Yep.
In Austin. Yeah, they moved to Austin to train with him, and he trains a lot of people down there.
Yeah, he trains a lot of the women you see on TV, actually.
Yeah, a Stinger singles match in theory would be nice. Unfortunately, in execution, it would probably leave us with a sour memory of the Stinger.
Yeah,
Jamie had a great point last week that the Bucks are the people to put you out on, right?
Yeah. People remember that forever. Speaking of remembering forever, arguably my favorite faction in AEW, the Bang Bang Gang, with new entrance music, by the way. They went up against, the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. Jeez, Jamie.
Wow.
For the ROH 6-man tag team
Jamie is
championship.
so focused on this entrance music. You guys have no idea.
I love it. It fits them so well.
It does.
Like, I'm
It's
so
very
excited.
It's not
it's
like I like it that it's not the
variation of
classic
Miniman a little
Bullet
bit.
Club either, too, right? Because they're
Yeah.
not the Bullet Club. They're Bullet Club Gold. They're different, right?
I like their
yellow.
music. I do think it seems just a little too generic for them. Like it's good. It's good pro wrestling entrance music.
I understand.
And it does fit them to a degree, but I want something a little bit more extravagant for the Bang Bang Gang. Like if you're gonna have Juice Robinson in your crew, you need something kind of wild to walk out to.
Well, I mean, I'd be cool if they got Mini-Men as every time they go in. That'd be perfect. But evidently,
That'd be
that's
great,
really
too.
expensive. That's really expensive.
But it was wild seeing somewhat babyface Bullet Club Gold.
I
in
know,
this match.
right?
Somewhat babyface. The crowd treated them like they were babyface the entire time. They were so over, it hurt every single one of them. And with the help of their scissor brethren, they were able to win and are new ROH 6-man tag champs, the Bang Bang Gang.
Hey, gold officially on Jay White's waist. I believe somebody here says that there was gold coming for his waist. It might have been a different belt, but still, I'm giving you credit, Austin. You called this.
Gold just the same. Funny enough,
you get a stamp.
somewhat like the TNT championship at the beginning of the night where there was no way in hell that Christian was losing. I thought there was no way in hell
There's
the Bullet
no
Club
way.
Gold was losing this match.
Same.
Which is a bit unfortunate because me and the wife were chatting about this during the show. On paper, Gates of Agony and Brian Cage should be super rad and like one of the
Yes.
cooler parts of TV. They have been henchmen for so long, you can't take them seriously, even though they look like they could beat the shit out of most of the roster.
I mean,
And it's unfortunate.
I mean, Ian Riccaboni was trying to sell you for the first 5 minutes of the match about Khan, about how long he's been a ROH 6-man tag champion with several iterations. He like literally trying to sell you on how good of and
You're just like, okay, bro, but
their swerves hit to Hitman. Yeah.
The moment that sealed it for me was leading up to All Out. I think when they did the tag team match and Brian Cage was standing on the stage right next to Swerve and Darby and Sting were like, who's your partner going to be, with the guy standing next to him? And he's like, AR Fox or whatever it was. Like,
Oh.
yeah, that just killed Brian Cage for me. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, this match was fun, and I like babyface Bang Bang Gang for a little while. I think it gives them something fun to do. It keeps them over with the crowd, and
You have
as
the
soon as
you get the inevitable 6-man tag versus 6-man tag unification fight.
Yeah.
Down the road.
and let them ride this popularity and being a little bit of a babyface for a while. And as soon as you've got some faces you want to feud them with long term, just turn right back into heels.
Well, Jamie, they have to sell Bang Bang Scissor Gang T-shirts.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
they do. And I'll probably buy one as long as it looks cool.
I'm starting to see Jay White as like AEW's version of Eddie Guerrero. Like,
Ooh, good
yeah.
call. Good call.
you can like him even when he's being a total piece of shit.
Right.
And you would never trust him. Like, he's not a trustable, like, there's nothing about his character on screen that you should like, but you do anyways. And I think they could do so many fun things with him and the rest of this roster.
That's a very good astute, and he never puts on a bad match. Very astute. Very
And
astute.
I'd bring it up every once in a while, but just the guns have gotten so genuinely good at this shit.
So good.
Yeah.
They know wrestling, man. They got it. Well, we'll get to it when we get to a match later on. But they were, like I say, there's a foundation. I said it before. Foundation of young tag teams in AEW. Guns, the Acclaimed, even though they're kind of in a trios thing right now, and then a couple guys we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the Guns have definitely risen into that picture. They weren't originally, but they're definitely there.
So, Austin, when you have somebody who is pretty green, and you have somebody who is known for being incredibly amazing at technical wrestling, is that a good... Could that be successful if, say, this person, the green person, is not exactly known for being technical?
Yes, it can. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because this is another thing I was talking to the wife with during this match. The thing with the super technical style of wrestling, and we saw a bit of that when Serena Deeb was just squashing job ladies for a while. As long as the green person relaxes and just rolls with whatever they're being put into, it can work, because the person doing the technical wrestling, as we'll talk about here in just a second, is what you're leading into.
We're already there. Talk about it. Let's go.
If they are of the ilk of a Deonna Purrazzo and that good at technical wrestling, they can just drag the other person's carcass through it as long as they just lighten up and go with it. And I thought largely that was the case tonight.
I thought so too. So I'm glad you saw it, because there's a couple times where I literally saw Deonna setting up a move for Anna. Like she's doing a technical move, but boom, oh no, I'm being pinned. And it's like, yeah.
And beautiful. All it takes is you got to give just a little bit of a resistance so you don't just crumble and collapse, but then just roll with wherever they're taking you, and they will put you wherever you need to be.
Let them do the work.
And can we also appreciate the fact that when Tony's on, she was talking about Deonna, how she didn't really know her.
Donna Purrazzo.
Donna Purrazzo, thank you. But also, I do want to say this on the record, because Deonna's gotten a lot of flack from the worst of worst internet fucking trolls.
Yeah, fuck you, internet.
Right here, buddy. Seriously, like, she is a goddess of wrestling. She's amazing. Every woman looks different. Every man looks different. Who gives a shit? If they can wrestle and they bring you joy in watching some amazing wrestling, fucking watch it. If you don't like it, change the motherfucking channel. Like, goddamn. Like, this is supposed to be fun, people.
There's a woman who I have never heard anybody say anything negative about her outside of the ring, right? To a man, to a woman, every person that has ever talked about her has said that she is like the biggest sweetheart, the kindest soul they've ever met. She's a fantastic wrestler, a great coach, a great coworker. She got a fantastic wife, I'm surprised Steve didn't just buckle down and blow up on the internet. I am generally surprised he didn't lose his shit.
I considered having this public service announcement as the stash of knowledge tonight, but I figured we'd get into it in due course anyway. But yeah, if you are getting on the internet and you feel the need to comment on I would say a woman's, but really any human's appearance, unless it's something that is super like off the wall and clearly made for you to attend, like if they've got a 6-foot green mohawk, like they want you to look at that. Outside of that, if you are going to comment on someone's appearance on the internet, just don't. It's never helpful. It's never constructive. Also, if you look at Deonna Purrazzo and you think she is fat, you clearly do not hang out around women, because that is a woman-sized woman. They come in all sizes and like all perfectly great and beautiful and all that. But like, do you not see women in your life? Like that's what people look at. And she is phenomenal at pro wrestling as well.
She's a better athlete than most of these people talking at her on the line.
I had not seen much of Deonna Purrazzo. I didn't watch a lot of Impact, hadn't saw her much on the indies. but just phenomenal, technically solid in ring, which I mentioned Serena Deeb a minute ago. It is kind of interesting that they've been teasing Serena coming back, although she's probably going to Ring of Honor. But that would be fun. Like, we don't get a lot of like super technical women's matches. But Deonna is just super solid in the ring and probably one of the better. I think she'll end up being one of the better women's pickups AEW has made.
I think so. I think they're doing it in the right way too. So on Saturday she had Red Velvet, and then tonight she had Anna Jay, right? And the Red Velvet match was very much similar to this, right? It was very leading her along the way. To your point, Jamie, you've long harped on this about the greenness of these women. Just don't keep putting them up against each other, right? Even though, as I said, I didn't feel that the Anna Jay Julia Hart match was. I thought it was much better than I was expecting, right? But you need someone to guide you along there, right? We talked about TNA a little bit ago, right? And remember I said who does a lot of their stuff backstage, guiding the women's division? Gail Kim, Tracy Brooks, right? You need those people who are actually there doing it, and having somebody like Deonna to help these women as you're doing it. It gives you a good build up for her, so you're not just immediately thrusting her up against Toni Storm and saying, "Boom, I want to challenge you. Let's go right now," right? Letting her build it up, but you're also helping improve the women. I thought this was one of the best nights for Anna Jay there could have been in a while. Is what my thought was. Getting this type of match and TV time with her is good for her as a whole.
Yeah, I really appreciate that AEW, when they have someone new come in, they don't immediately do but can they make it here? Like, every time WWE got someone, it's all about can they hang with the WWE superstars? No, they treat Deonna Purrazzo like the world-class wrestler that she is. And Anna Jay, again, just this Saturday on Battle of the Belts, or so I'm told because I didn't watch it, challenge for the TBS title. Anna Jay a week ago on Dynamite got the finish in the big 4-on-4 women's match and got the Brody pop and all that. And Deonna pretty much just tore her apart. Like, they let her come in as a big deal. They don't try and over-explain why you should care. It's just, that's a damn good pro wrestler that's now part of this roster. Watch her beat up some other pro wrestlers. It was a great Dynamite introduction for Deonna.
But how about after the match, Jamie? Have you ever seen a promo from atop another person's shoulders before?
Yes, this is the second time Tony has done this. And every time Tony does, it's absolutely a treasure. So Deonna's like, "Oh, you've changed. We used to know each other back in the day, but I've changed too." And then Tony's like, "Don't bring up my past. My past is of no concern to you." It was so great. She's like, "All you need to know is chin up, tits out, and beware of the shoe, or watch out for the shoe.
Watch for the shoe."
And then Mariah May just chucks it at her.
Which
and
is
then Mariah and her go back and forth.
Which I think they were supposed to cut to commercial, but they were like, keep it here for another minute. This is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it seemed like a little awkward at the end, and I think because it was supposed to cut and they kept it rolling.
I'm so glad.
Now, luckily, they got away. It was fine, but it was like Deonna was coming out, but they weren't ending the segment. She was about to get out of the ring. They weren't ending the segment. The absolute line of the night from Toni Storm was, Italian from New Jersey. Sounds mob affiliated.
I liked when she thought Ian Riccaboni was Tony Schiavone.
She was petting him at one point.
She was just feeding him macaroons at one point. She was feeding him macaroons on. Oh my God! And Luther, kudos to Luther, who's a guy who doesn't get enough credit. There were some missteps character-wise we did when Luther first came in, a few different iterations, but good for Luther for getting some good screen time. And yeah, I'm
here's a weird statement that like 6 months ago I would have thought there was no way would be a true statement. Rhea Ripley is the second best Australian women's wrestler in the world right now.
Ooh.
Toni Storm is probably the most entertaining thing in all of pro wrestling right now.
You're not
Maybe
wrong.
maybe Christian gets a nod as well if you want a 1A 1B situation, but Tony Storm is must-see TV, and thank God they are keeping her on there every week.
Yeah,
She
I
is
mean,
a treasure.
smart. Put her on commentary every time. Do it. Yes.
Do it.
She's so good, and the way this character has continued to evolve as well, she just keeps getting crazier.
Like, my favorite thing is after the shoes were thrown and Deonna started coming out, Luther was just walking around the other side, and she's just staring at her, pointing at her, just riding the shoulders. Like, it is just the funniest shit. Like, she is a national treasure. And
She's committed to the bit. I love it. It's great.
So good.
Everybody
so
should be
good.
committed to the bit. Like, her commitment level is amazing. Speaking to commit to the bit, there was a high-flying show, and there was two guys who are a private party, and it was their first official match back on Dynamite together, going up against Top Flight, and this was flippy spinny goodness.
Yes, it was.
I enjoyed it. It was not my match of the night, but I sure as shit really
I think
liked this match.
I'll give my criticisms out of the way first, and they're not really criticisms, just more observations. This is Mark Quinn's first match back, and he definitely looked like it.
Yeah.
It's been 14 months since he's wrestled on TV, so there was some of that. That being said, Private Party as Private Party and a healthy Top Flight makes JJ a very happy boy. I mean, let's talk about foundation for the future of tag team division. Here you go.
Yeah. This I kind of like the last few weeks of Dynamite. They've only announced about 4 matches, and you've gotten a couple surprises as well, which I think is a good balance for the show. Just the fact alone that there was a tag team match between 2 actual tag teams that aren't involved in any like current storyline or title picture was great. That's the pro wrestling aspect of your pro wrestling show.
Yeah.
You should have some of your wrestlers wrestling each other just because you got to get some wins to get some success. And yeah, like you're saying, it's a good foundation for the tag division going forward. Like they have a deep division with a lot of teams. And yeah, I've never been a huge fan of Private Party. I don't dislike them for any reason. They just always seemed a little too close to the Street Profits for me.
Okay.
But they're still entertaining to watch. Like they put on good matches, and you need a deep tag team division to really like tell good stories within the division. So you don't have the same teams wrestling each other over and over again. I'm looking at you, Alpha Academy and Viking Raiders. I don't even watch WWE, and I still know they've been wrestling each other endlessly for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see just more depth to that tag team division with actual tag teams.
And you look at that, the flippy Spanish shit, you're right, but in a different manner, right? Top Flight, you got the young athlete guys, right? The high flyers and all this stuff. Whereas Private Party's got that, but then they got a lot of the Street Profits kind of esque to them, right? So they got a different kind of arc story with them, right? Acclaimed, we all know what the Claimed is, right? It's just, and then when you factor in the Guns, it's just the Guns have that different edge, more classic tag team, but they're all along the same breaths, but there's different enough to make it very interesting, and you can just do a shuffleboard of them as many times as you want and get good matches across the board. And as I said, yeah, I'm happy to see it. I'm so happy that everyone in this match is back healthy, and hope to God all 4 of them stay that way, because
yes,
both of these teams have had serious setbacks with their progression due to some pretty serious injuries. So
they are made out of eggshells, like both teams.
Yeah.
Both teams. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the spot where a grown man beats the shit out of a boy.
Wait, how did you gloss over the Wardlow promo?
Oh, there's a Wardlow promo.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was a War Daddy promo. Sorry, Adam Cole promo about War Daddy, about how he could be the most destructive force in all of AEW, and he could be the greatest thing that's ever happened. It's like, yes.
I specifically wanted to mention this only because I have a casual optimism for Wardlow with Adam Cole as a mouthpiece. But I also kind of hope that in the long run, when Wardlow eventually turns face and beats up the Undisputed Era for just toying with them, either A, we get a Bobby Heenan Red Rooster situation where down the line they see some previous footage of Adam Cole being like, I could make any dipshit a star. Someone get me Wardlow. Or B, I would like to see Adam Cole and Wardlow basically recreate the Adam Cole and MJF arc where Adam Cole becomes best friends with Wardlow and then just turns on him as well.
What if they do see Finger Poke of Doom?
What if they do D and they do the evolution? He wins it up on one of like Matt Taven's shoulders, or like, that would be the best.
Yeah, except that would include Wardlow winning the AEW championship, and that shit ain't happening.
He might.
I think it will happen. However brief he holds it for, which is why I'm going for Finger Poke of Doom option.
The only way I could see them doing that is if they did some kind of cash-in gimmick. But even then, as we will get to shortly, you have 3 very viable championship contenders, and you also have Will Ospreay coming in before too long. I honestly don't know if Adam Cole ends up with the AEW championship. Like that title picture is pretty jammed up for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, like the Samoa Joe, man, like he's got some suitors. He's got some serious suitors.
Before we get to suitors, can we talk about how Samoa Joe beat up a man's child in front of him on live TV?
Yeah. What's Tazz gonna do about it?
Tazz was like, Tazz was cool with most of it until the very end.
But the way they did it though, like gave Tazz a little bit of an out. If we're gonna jump to the end, like Hook was literally asking for it.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand Tazz being like, "Hey, if you're gonna piss off the Samoan, you gotta take that ass beat." And that seems like something Tazz as a dad would do.
This is something Tazz would do. Now, I don't know if Jamie knows this. Austin, I don't know if you know this or not, but one of my favorite moves in all of wrestling history is Samoa Joe's Uranagi. Specifically, his surprise Uranagi in the corner. I love
the ST Joe.
Yeah, nowhere. Boom! He did that. The first time I saw him do that was against AJ Styles back when it was like undefeated X Division first come into TNA before he did Atusmos. I saw it for the first time I saw it do it was against AJ Styles. I go, what the fuck was that? That was amazing because he's out of nowhere. But his Uranagi is fantastic. This is one of the most brutal Uranagis I've seen in a while from Joe, though. Onto the corner of the announce table.
Oh yeah, Hook's got to learn to jump because he totally sandbagged Joe on that, and that did not end well.
He almost
for him.
broke his neck in doing so.
And like that was kind of the thing I noticed the most throughout this match, which I enjoyed this match. I thought it was
I did too.
as good as you were going to get out of the story you were telling building into this. But then it left me watching the whole time thinking, man, this match would be so much better if Hook was better. Which he wasn't bad, but I don't think he did like particularly well holding up his end of the match. He looked a little like wiry and loose when he was getting a little bit of offense in. It like the limitations Hook has as a wrestler were evident, but I don't think it took away from him just going out there and taking a solid ass beating and making Joe look like a monster. And they made Hook look legit along the way. He did. He needs to get better at pro wrestling to capitalize on that.
Do you think this match as a whole what happened before, after the whole thing, Jamie, do you think this benefits Hook?
Yes, I actually do. I think even though he got the absolute shit kicked out of him,
Which he should.
then he got the extra muscle buster at the end just for gigs, just for gigs. Yeah, no, I think if anything, it puts him into a bigger light than what he was. I think Jade Cargill-ish, that level. Which
Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw. Triple H did talk about Jade not that long ago. It's like, well, she needs a little work.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
think
you
that
haven't
was
seen
around
her.
Survivor
Not
Series, though. I
wrong.
think that was a couple months ago.
Yeah, he's like,
You're
well,
not wrong, Triple H.
We've been saying it for months.
Well, I think a lot of us, all three of us had some variation, have had the same critique about Hook at some point in time, right? Yeah, he looks good. Chicks dig him. Cool, right? Substance, right? You don't give him, 29-1 record, but you don't really give him, this stuff. Get him beat up a little bit helps him, but also I think can give him some direction. I didn't feel like this was a bad loss for him as a character, the way they were doing it. I hope they don't just roll with this and immediately turn him back into, unbeatable FTW fuck everybody champion, If you're gonna make this, if you're committing to make this guy a star, which let's be honest, right now you got a lot of commitment for a lot of stars at the same time. But if you're committed to making this guy a big star, right? Give this some depth. Let this be a catalyst for some good storytelling for him, not just the Tazz's son who doesn't say anything and eats potato chips and does the same move his dad did. Just saying.
Yeah, because one, as you're saying, this is not a bad loss character-wise for Hook. Losing to the world champion is never bad for you. And especially losing to Samoa Joe is never bad for you. But they've got to kind of make a decision with Hook, because this very well could be the peak of what you're going to get out of Hook. I think this is as far as you can run with him without his just in-ring work needing to get better to tell more stories down the road.
Yeah.
Like I said, he did okay. He didn't take away from the match at all, but he just wasn't capable of capitalizing on the stuff he should have been. But I mean, he's definitely not a lost cause. He's super over, and that's something you really can't teach a lot of the time.
Oh yeah.
I would like to see Hook go to Ring of Honor after this. We kind of peaked him for what we've done so far. Let's send him over there and get some more experience and get a little bit cleaner in the ring, and then bring him back in as a bit more of a big deal later on.
Did either of you get on Twitter around the time of this match or shortly after?
I did not.
No.
So there was a tweet, because I did briefly. I get on Twitter to see if I can find a better screenshot than the one I took for my thumbnail. So I do a real quick deep dive on Twitter to see if everybody's got a better photo. Okay, so a little behind the curtain for all y'all listening and watching. But there was a tweet there from CJ Perry on her, in her living room, taking with her computer out. Says, but potential new client, ? And it's got Hook on the screen, the Hook match.
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be good for him.
I'm like,
What you're saying is Hook's getting squashed by Miro in here in a couple weeks.
yeah.
No. She turned and she's with Miro again.
Kind of ish.
I haven't seen Collision since the pay-per-view.
Oh, she fully
I didn't
back
know
with
if they were
Miro now?
together.
I thought they
Yeah.
were. Okay. So
No,
they did-
because she helped him beat Andrade.
right. But then he was confused by that and wasn't sure how to
Yeah.
take it and left it,
Yeah.
Honestly,
Regardless,
Hook and
though.
Miro as a tag team is something I would be here for.
I think it's a good way to go. I think it's a good person to learn from. I think you do this angle much like, and it's not dissimilar, even though it's a little bit dissimilar, but it's not too dissimilar from Nick Wayne, right?
Yeah.
Put him under the right wing. The whole Orange Cassidy and Danhausen thing, cool. Yeah, Hook, I get it, right? That's not going to help Hook become who you want him to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years. Miro and CJ Perry? Yes, that will get him to where you want him to be.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, it's kind of like putting Julia Hart with the House of Black.
Exactly.
Like
So much sense.
Start putting as much of your younger talent as you can with more experienced wrestlers, especially because as we've talked about a few times over the last month or two, the times where AEW starts to feel a bit like the Attitude Era. In the Attitude Era, everyone was running around with a crew of some sort. Like, start putting these people together a little bit and getting them some more experience. But yeah, I think Hook with Miro and CJ would be awesome.
A light tease that was thrown out there that I grabbed onto, and I thought that's a good idea. So
yeah, that'd be rad.
Yes, please.
And if he was friends with Miro, someone would have run out to help him while he was getting beat up after the match several times and asking for it. I mean, someone eventually kind of did
come out and help him, though. Sort of.
That-ish. Sort of. So it was kind of weird how they did it. Because, like, I get why Hangman would want to go confront Samoa Joe, but it kind of seemed like he was saving Hook, but also kind of not, because Hook literally kept getting up, like, come in and give me some more. It was a bit weird, but it doesn't really matter because they are clearly setting up a tremendous triple threat match for Revolution.
I mean, it's...
And it will fuck. On all levels. All levels.
All right, Mark Stradamus, early prediction time, because I think we're all on board that this is obvious triple threat time, right?
Yep.
Who wins that match? Not holding you to this for your final pick, but early, way too early predictions. Do you think they're going to keep it on Joe or move it off of him into one of these guys this soon? I think they keep it on Joe. And a triple threat's the perfect excuse to be able to do that.
I think Joe wins because Paige and Strickland can't, like, one of them's gonna say they cost each other the match.
They can't quit each other.
Yeah, I can't quit you. Definitely that moment, and then allow somebody else to, like, mess with Joe for a little bit while they do that, and then it'll come back to one of them going one-on-one with him for the win and for the belt. And they lose it to Ospreay at all.
So, yeah, that's what's real interesting about this. And I could see it going any of the three ways, which is awesome. It's
a luxury we haven't had for a while.
Yeah, it seems like throughout the entire MJF run, you kind of knew how those matches were ending. This one, not only could it go any way, but they would all be acceptable choices. Like, there's no wrong move in this match. Mm-hmm. But if we're taking Ospreay winning the title at All In as a given, I think him beating Swerve for it makes the most sense. And I think if you're going to go there, you want to put it on Swerve sooner rather than later. Samoa Joe, out of his history in AEW, and if you want to rope in WWE as well, it really doesn't make me think he's going to be anything but a transitional champion. And Joe is a phenomenal transitional champion. Like, he is always credible to be your champion, but he's a guy you put on the belt on for someone to take it relatively soon. Like, Joe has never really been, like, the guy since he left TNA, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that makes the guy. Like, which is a great spot to be in. I'm not saying that to take anything from Joe. He's one of the greatest of all time. That's why I think he probably loses it at Revolution, because I don't think Joe needs the title. I think he's a good way to move it on, but Joe's is believable with or without it. The problem you run into is Hanger's whole thing has been, I'm refocused. I'm not only going to win the title, I'm going to hang on to it. But also, Swerve's got to get that belt, because Swerve is the hottest act you have pretty much in the company right now.
Yeah.
If I had to pick now, I'd go Swerve, but
I will say this too, though. You both are giving the belt to a guy who still hasn't officially debuted as an official roster member. I know, yes, that makes sense. All in, Crown Ospreay in front of his home crowd. But you're also, that's a lot of assumptions for something that's, I don't know yet, right? Because you know they've got plans for Hanger and for Swerve at some point to kind of go through this. Wardlow / Adam Cole are definitely in this conversation at some point in time coming up this year. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we are assuming that Ospreay fits right in on the top of the bill. He should, yes. We don't know yet. We also don't know, when is he actually debuting? Is it going to be right after Revolution? Is it?
I think he said when he came out at Full Gear or whatever it was that like
he wanted
February
to finish his
was
New
when it was
Japan stuff, but
Yeah.
he didn't give any sort of definitive timeline, and neither has Tony. So
the reason why I work under the assumption that Ospreay is winning the title at All In is outside of injury or something like that you just can't predict. If he doesn't, AEW's fucking up. There's some things that are just layups.
I hear you.
Like,
I'm not disagreeing.
Cody should have beat Roman last year. That was a layup they missed, which they tend to do sometimes. That's why I'm assuming Ospreay's winning it at All In, because it's too good of a thing to pass on.
I don't disagree with you at all. But once again, I'm just saying that is taking the assumption that they're going to have him in and the storyline in play, because this storyline's deep already, right? That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline around this belt is deep already. We don't know when or if MJF's coming back. If MJF has surgery, we might not see him till next year anyway, right? You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving pieces here. I'm just saying.
Well, Ospreay's contract officially expires in February.
Officially in February, so we could probably see it maybe at Revolution. That'd be a good place to insert him. Who knows?
That would be great. And I think it's more likely than not he wrestles at Revolution. Who does he wrestle at Revolution? And I'm not saying that like there's no one for him to wrestle. I'm saying if we're just speculating right now, who would you like to see Ospreay face at Revolution?
Well, he did get pissed off at Don Callis and everybody just recently. I think maybe him and Takeshita would be a good match.
That's what I would be thinking as well.
And he's a face.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Ospreay. Face Ospreay.
I mean, he's not going to be part of the Don
Rogue.
Callis family. We've already broken that tie.
That's right, bruv.
Well, you've got nothing else. If you're not going to immediately insert him into the picture, that's a good place to put him, because who is on the Don Callis family? Kyle Fletcher.
His homie.
His homie.
You could also,
Plus you got Don
because
Callis.
we've been a little light on the Blackpool Combat Club recently. They've largely been in Japan. You could do Ospreay and Mox at Revolution.
Because why not? You know, because
Why not?
Is
That's a perfect why not.
I mean,
Mox is that guy. Just throw him in. Why not?
Jeez. I was thinking Ospreay and Claudio, you know, would make more sense card wise, you know. But hey, if you want to blow your load early, sure, just give us do us Ospreay.
Well, so if you look
sure.
at it, unless they start adding more pay-per-views, which is a possibility, you've got Revolution, and then you have
No, you have
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Then
So
you
you
have
really-
then you have Forbidden
Door.
Door.
So you really only have a handful of pay-per-view matches before you get to All In anyway. Why not have Ospreay beat some of your heaviest hitters leading to that title win?
Unless you do another pay-per-view somewhere in there. My guess is we might get one more. Maybe not every month, but we might get one more in the mix there somewhere.
I think March to June is a long haul without throwing one in there.
I think you'll have, you know, late April, early May, something like that, right? You know, I think you might get one in there somewhere.
I support that.
Okay. Well, we're starting to get a card together. Revolution's about 6 weeks away, give or take. Royal Rumble's about 10
Around
days
there.
away. That will be our next challenge for that bright, shiny belt that Austin now has in his physical possession. So, there you go. Look at that thing, so beautiful. That's going to look great when you mail it to me here at the end of the month. I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so good. So
I'm not planning on being a Samoa Joe champion.
Okay.
It's going to be great when I win this thing back.
That being said, I didn't plan on losing most of the other pay-per-views, but it just kind of happened that way. So we'll see what happens at the Rumble.
No, we don't have plans anything. Well, the good thing is we're going in something that we don't watch. Like, we watch a lot more AEW than we do WWE. So this will be very interesting to see which direction we're going to go with this here. I have a feeling we're going to come down to a tiebreaker because we're probably going to have a lot of duplication is my guess. That's just an early guess. Who knows?
That's why we got to throw in the final four for each Rumble. Because that adds some variability.
We got some interesting scoring we're gonna do with it here. It'd be a fun contest. So if you want to see that, hit subscribe down below. Like this video also while you're down there will help. But we'll be back next week. Same time next week, like every week. Same bat time, same bat channel. See what we're trucking along with. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you giving us some of your time. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down Total Spotfest, I got 3 words for you.
Weeks in a row.
Dem boys. Forever.
Rest in peace, Jay. See you guys next week.
Peace.